Hey there everyone, Dr. Beth Westy here, and I'm going to talk about kind of a tough topic tonight. So, setting the stage because this is something that I think a lot of women struggle with, and it's really hard to have a conversation about this because not everybody's experience is the same. And women aren't exposed to the same thing over and over again when it comes to the topic of birth control. So, and sometimes this can cause reactions in feelings, or it can cause reactions in beliefs or other things like that. And be that as it may, that's not necessarily what I want to get into at all right now. The only thing that I want to kind of open the conversation about right now is the effect that this has for women and some of the stories that I have heard from women because they've struggled along the way and felt like they weren't listened to, or they're not sure where to turn next, or then they're still kind of left wondering and guessing. So if this is you, know that you're not alone, right? You know that a lot of women experience issues, troubles, and they're just frustrated. So I'm diving into this because it's something that I get questions on from women all the time, and it's not a topic I've spent a ton of time on before on social media. So that's why I wanted to talk about it. I will mention, my primary specialty, what I focus on for women is nutrition that matches your hormones and your cycle to help regulate that, and use your food to help your body function better. My book, The Female Fat Solution, is on Amazon, which you can get, and that dives into it more. And then I have programs that are built specifically for women to help your body regulate your cycle, to help it function better. We incorporate things like eating for estrogen, eating for progesterone. If you're familiar with seed cycling, it's like that, but with all of the food that you do. Yes. So one of the things that when we talk about birth control and issues with this, and you guys can feel free to drop a comment if you have a question on this, or if you don't, or if you want to have a conversation on it and you're like, I'm not sure, I'll put a link below where you can schedule a call with me, where we can chat about, whatever it is that you have questions on. And, I can help you kind of navigate, because this is a really, really tough topic for a lot of women, because sometimes it's easy to feel like you're being led in a direction that you don't necessarily want to go in, but there aren't a lot of tools for you available to really get a better solution. So, I'll start with talking about my own experience and everything. Let's see, I was on the pill for, 10 years almost, I think. And for me personally, nothing changed. Nothing was different, right? Nothing was different. I was, clockwork on taking it, on everything, all this other stuff. And when I was 24, I was in graduate school and I was under a lot of stress. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, for no reason, right? In my head, I'm like, there's no reason this should be happening. But my cycle started doubling up. And I was like, what? And it got to be such an issue where I was like, okay, something's going on. I didn't feel normal. I definitely wasn't normal. And I actually called the nurse line and I was like, hey, this is what's happening. And they were like, oh, that's okay. Are you still taking the pill? And I'm like, yeah, I'm taking it, And they're like, okay, then you're fine. And I was like, cool. So that was 13 years ago. My son's 12. These are the things, you know what I mean? Like they failed to say, it might not be effective then anymore. I was like, oh, okay. And Krista's saying you were on it for 20 years. Oh my gosh, yes. And Tina, I was on it for 15 years. Holy cow, ladies. Yes, see, this is what I'm talking about. Women are just kind of put on these, birth control methods. And there's some of them that are, so the hard thing about this conversation is that it's not the same for everybody. I have chatted with women who started on an oral contraceptive, and then they went to an IUD, and then they had a shot, and then there's a ring, right? And there's different things that they're battling. And sometimes they're like, oh, this one's okay, but they switched to a different one for one reason or another. And then it was not good. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, this is having horrible effects in my body. And there's sometimes, you're a candidate or not a candidate to have specific types of birth control based on your own health background, which is really hard to navigate on your own. Like, you go in and you're like, oh, I don't know. And like, do you have a history of blood clots in your family? And sometimes you're like, I don't know. Do I have to worry about that now? You do, right? You do. So it can be a really hard thing to figure out, okay, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing for me? Where do I go next if this doesn't work out? I am not a candidate for certain types of birth control based on I have a uterine abnormality. So I don't get to be a candidate for any IUD for any reason, right? Which is, my whole backstory on how I got started in doing what I'm doing was because I was really frustrated I was having horrible ovarian cysts after I had my third baby. And my husband actually drove me to the hospital because I was in so much pain and I wouldn't go because I'm stubborn. I'm stubborn, really, right? Is this a surprise? And they were like, oh, here's, let's get you some kind of birth control and Vicodin. And I was like, okay, birth control, there's other side effects that I don't like, right? Like there's weight gain for me. I don't feel good. I get headaches. There's some other, things where I was like, please, I don't want that. And they were like, well, let's give you an IUD. And I was like, they were trying to regulate the hormone piece of it, right? And I was like, okay, I'm not a candidate for an IUD. And they were like, whoa. And I was like, oh, here's your Vicodin though. And I was like, again, I don't want to spend my life on Vicodin. Like, I want to be healthier. I don't understand why. So that was the beginning, my frustration, me feeling lost, me feeling like, horrible about it. Krista's saying had and still have cysts and fibroids. Oh my gosh, Krista, girl, we need to talk. This is what I'm talking about. This is what got me started, that I had been on the pill for 10 years, had 3 babies in 6 years. Well, I had 3 babies. I had 4 pregnancies in 6 years and a ton of stress. And my body just couldn't handle it anymore. Little did I know at that time too, I had an undiagnosed autoimmune issue, also contributing to the fact that my body couldn't process through all this excess hormone, which is why it was getting built up in my body, creating these cysts. So I went on a deep dive on, and I was taking all these supplements, right? I was taking all the supplements. Right? It's not enough. You have to build a new foundation of health for yourself. And that's what I did. I had to flush out the excess hormone from my body, build a new foundation of health, and really reset my hormones. And I used my nutrition. The exact same thing that I teach women every single day to do is what I did to help my body. Get a regular cycle, have it be strong, no PMS symptoms, no horrible cycle symptoms, right? And it sounds sometimes like, really? And I'm like, yes, when you start doing this, when you start layering in these pieces to work with your body, it's amazing how fast it responds. And when I say fast, it's not overnight, right? Over the next couple of months, things shift and change and are different. And I get the amazing joy of helping women with these things all day long now. So it's really fulfilling for me because I know exactly how lost I was. I know exactly how angry and to the point of tears I was, to be, just not given any other options. Say it's either birth control and Vicodin or nothing. See you later, or we're going to have to start doing surgery for your cysts. And I was like, come on, there's got to be a better answer. You just had an endometrial ablation in December to reduce him. Yeah, see? And those are hard things too. And I get that that's, sometimes helps things out, but every time you do any type of surgery, I have another podcast that's coming out. I had a podcast that dropped today. If you guys did not catch it, listen to it because Dr. Perry Nicholson is amazing. I love connecting with other amazing healthcare practitioners. He is one of them. Listen to it. He talks about inflammation. Really important key thing in there. There's another one that's going to be dropping soon. I did with a gal who's an abdominal scar tissue specialist. So for those of you that are, have had these fibroids, endometriosis, things like that, holy cannoli, you're going to need to listen to that one too. So if you're not subscribed to my podcast, The Female Health Solution, subscribe to it and share it with all your girlfriends because there is so much amazing, juicy content that is being released in this podcast. I don't mean to brag. But it's not me, right? I'm bringing on these other experts that are amazing. But these are the things that women then are reduced to. Now you have to go get a surgery because things are totally unbalanced and you're not, functioning well. And then you're left with, scar tissue and having to heal from that trauma too. On top of, are your hormones regulated then? Which is usually the cause of a lot of those issues, right? It's frustrating, right? It's frustrating because it's really, really tough to know. So Again, I'll put a link below this video. If you have questions, if you want to know some more things you can do to help your hormones more naturally with your whole food, that's what we can chat about, because that's what I do. And I can help you navigate that, right? But I just wanted to open the conversation about, yes, it is really tough. Yes, it is really, I'm just saying, it's so hard for women to have the conversation about birth control and what it really does to your body and how you really feel, right? Like, I look back at pictures of myself and, yes, I was eating gluten and some other things like that, but I remember too, like, I was just puffy. I just retained water all the time. Like, ugh. And it's just so different. It's so different when you shift that for yourself, right? Now, of course, there's sometimes in gals' life that's what they're, what they're doing and okay, fine. But it's also good to have tools and, more education on your own body physiology. That's one thing I really feel like we have failed on, educating women on their bodies and their hormones and how they work and function. So that's kind of just what I wanted to chat about. Just open up that conversation, talk about birth control, saying that, you're definitely not alone. If you feel like you struggle, you're definitely not the only one. If you feel like, hey, this has not gone well for me and now I don't know what to do, right? I went off the pill and I've been off of it for 3 years and I still don't have a normal period. What the heck? It's not you. You know what I mean? Your body just hasn't been able to process or reset. It can take anywhere from 2 to 6 years when you start puberty for your cycle to regulate on its own. I'm going to say that again because it's that important. A lot of women and a lot of girls, teenagers, and I know a lot of gals, and I was one of them, that you start your period and then, oh, it's not regular, so let's put this 13-year-old on birth control because for irregular periods. Well, it can take 2 to 6 years for it to regulate on its own. So what are we doing? You're not even giving your body a chance. And then you come off the pill. So say you get married in your 20s, early 20s, and then you're like, oh, I want to have babies. And you go off the pill and then you're like, oh crap, I don't have a normal period again. Yeah, it never got a chance. You never gave your body a chance, So I teach women just how to eat for their hormones and their cycle, and really to focus on, the body's natural ebb and flow of hormone throughout the month and how you can help imprint on that. Your hormones are impressionable, right? If you've ever been around other girls, like lived with other girls in college, it doesn't take very long for you guys to sync up, does it? Nope, it doesn't. So your hormones are impressionable, and take advantage of that and use the tools that you have. Whole foods, I talk about seed cycling. I talk about warming and cooling foods. Even drinking your coffee. I did a video yesterday on drinking coffee in sync with your cycle. Like almost everything you can do. It's so powerful. The results are so amazing. And that's the message I want to share with women, to really up level your health foundation so you feel better and you function better all the time. And then you're in control and you're not lost and wondering what the heck is going on with my body and I don't know what to do about it. You'll know exactly what to do. So that's what I got for you guys today. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll put that link below. And if you want to chat about, if you're struggling with, and a lot of women, they gain weight and can't lose weight with, being on birth control or having been on birth control. Very common side effect. That was me. Big time. So it's so different. So we can chat about how that works with the system and how you can reboot your body to boost your metabolism while regulating your hormones. So I'll put that link below. I will see you later, and everybody have a great night.